And welcome back to the Racing Mindcast, the show that helps athletes slow down their minds so they can race past their limits. I'm Chris Haig.
And I'm Morgan Pharr Davies.
And on today's show, for all you watching on YouTube and for all of those tuning in audibly, what would be the auditorially?
No, that would be the place rather than...
Well, that's the auditorium.
Yeah. Anywho.
It's not orally.
By ear.
By ear. So you're listening on podcast. Welcome. And on today's show, we are going to be talking about women in endurance sports. Mm-hmm. And in part 2, the bite or bonk, which I know everyone's favorite section, including my own. We have
You're projecting, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. We have a bunch of bars from Julian's Bakery. Mm-hmm. And in part 3, we're going to be talking about our week 5 of the Year of Fear. So 5 weeks into 52. 4 fears down and
quite a few to
go, but we're making chunks, so that's going to be part 3. Mm-hmm. But let's first focus on women in endurance sports, and you brought this topic up in our pre-show, our pre-show notes and meeting. Give us a general rundown.
Well, I was just kind of inspired by an article I was reading about how it turns out that women seem to do, and this is obviously a huge generalization, but biological females, to use a,
So we're talking XX chromosome.
Yes.
I'm going to open up that can of worms because we talked about it before.
For the sake of this article, I will keep it to XX chromosomes, even though there is a spectrum of chromosomal difference.
Which is another podcast, which I would love to talk about. Different subject altogether.
But for the most part, on the bell curve, women seem to dominate essentially in endurance events. The longer, the better. Mm-hmm. That like ultra runners, ultra cyclists, and swimmers, the females tend to do much more successfully than the males, because the theory being that males are good at strength and speed, but they fizzle out really fast.
Right.
That they use up their glycogen much quicker than the women do, or the females do.
Women or female?
Females. Women is the gender, females is the sex. Okay. So let's keep it to biology for this. I don't want any hate mail. But that females tend to combine both the usage of their fat and their glycogen stores to fuel their workout, physiologically speaking, whereas males have a much harder time accessing their fat stores for fuel.
So back up for a second. Mm-hmm. Women are better fat burners than men. That's
at endurance,
At endurance, because for those who don't know, and just kind of a brief 1,000-foot perspective, when you exercise throughout the day, you're burning a mixture of, it's called your RQ factor, your respiratory quotient. You're burning a mixture of fat and glucose or glycogen. So when you're sitting down, you're burning primarily fat. Mm-hmm. As the exercise intensity increases, your ratio of fat goes down while your ratio of glucose goes up. So at higher intensities, you are burning more glycogen.
At first.
Right. And obviously when you burn through those glycogen stores,
your body
shifts over. But if you're trying to hold high levels of speed, that becomes hard. Right. Because if you're trying to hold your 100-meter pace for 200 meters, after that first 10 seconds, switching over to fat stores, those fat stores aren't going to be able to produce enough energy for you to continue on at that high pace.
And from what I understand, it takes longer, literally speaking, to metabolize fat than it does glycogen. Mm-hmm. So
because there's a whole separate process.
You need it to be in an endurance event because it takes time for that fat to actually be metabolized for fuel. Whereas with glycogen, it's really accessible. Mm-hmm. Like you just suck it right up and your muscles release it for a short burst. So males are much better at that. So they have an economy of speed and strength. Whereas females tend to basically tortoise and hare. So like the females tend to just go forever and ever and ever and ever because they have these stores that they can access over a longer period of time, whereas the males are like the hares in the analogy, where they just kind of go out really fast and then they tend to struggle the farther they go.
How does did the article that you found this on, did it mention anything about muscle mass?
Well, I think,
because if you look at like Usain Bolt, like assuming that you have a male runner and a female runner, both are not doping, both are not taking testosterone supplements, and both fall within the average range of testosterone production.
Right, but so, runner is a relative term because sprinter versus cross country athlete, different animals.
But where I'm going with that is when you have a woman, or when you have a female, the reason why she, the world record for a female is about 2 seconds behind the world record for male. Is that because of muscle mass? Is that because
it's a bunch of factors.
A
bunch of factors. I think for one, females tend to be shorter, so their stride is shorter. I think it also has to do with the type of muscle fiber you have. If you are a sprinter, if your muscle mass total is smaller, you will have a capacity for less fast twitch muscle. Just if you compare apples to oranges, like males to females, males can have more muscle, so therefore they can have more fast twitch fibers, which will make them faster. So you're comparing fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fiber ratios. That will determine how fast out of the gate you are.
And does that differ between males and females?
It could. It's a factor
you've dug into more cadavers than I have.
Well, you can't see that at the macro level, but that has to do more with how you train. So you can enhance the kind of fiber you have through training, but if there is a limit to how much muscle mass a female will have as compared to a male. So just looking at it comparatively, a male, even if they've done the exact same amount of training, will have more muscle mass compared to the female.
I think that's also hormonal issues.
Right. So even with, if you compared them, if you compared the muscle fibers individually, so say, a female sprinter has 2 to 1 and a male sprinter has 2 to 1, the overall amount of muscle that male has is more, therefore they will have more cumulative fast twitch muscle fibers, which will make them faster compared to the female.
I wonder if you juiced up a female athlete to such an extent. I wonder if
it depends on who they're competing against.
I wonder if there are times I wonder if you could throw them into a male race and they would be able to compete.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised.
But as we we were just focusing on the 100 to 200 meter, even 400 meter track athletes.
And now the third component though that you were asking about, the difference physiologically between male and female, I think the ratio of your body composition does matter when it comes to endurance athletes. That males, when they're compared within the same competitive field, will have by and large a lower body fat percentage. They lose fat faster, which in an endurance event is actually a detriment. So females have a naturally higher set point for their fat percentage, so they can use that, whereas the males have to depend more on glycogen because they just can't keep that amount of fat with that amount of training.
Endogenous calorie intake, I think that's or when you have to take in calories. So exogenous, that's it, not androgynous. Exogenous fuel sources, because if you look at a male ultra runner, chances are their body fat's 8% to 12%?
8 to 10.
8 to 12. I mean, you look at Scott Jurk at the end of the Appalachian Trail or Carl Meltzer, they have to be in the 8 range.
Yeah. So race-ready males have a lower fat, healthy fat percentage than, say, a race-ready female, which will be 12 to 15.
And this is why I really like ultra sports, is because they throw males and females into the same race.
And females are competitive.
And females are just as competitive.
Absolutely.
So
if not winners.
And you'll notice if you look at the difference in times between males and females in the 100-meter dash.
Yeah.
Like as a percentage of the race, if you normalize it as a percentage of the race, the gap between male and female world records
are
vast.
Yeah.
So we're
the
talking
longer you go, the
20% in the 100-meter dash. Mm-hmm. But as you go down, even towards Ironman, you're talking about an hour difference between the male world record and the female world record.
But 100 miles
but plus, once you get past that Ironman distance, it goes down even further from an hour to 20. And in some certain circumstances, the women are winning.
Oh, yeah.
What was the name of the... she was in Born to Run.
Right. This Ann Trayson, she's won...
Ann Trayson,
and set the course record before it was beat. But for Western States, like 14 times. And she's in her 50s now, and she's still competing. And
then there's the woman who tried to do... I mentioned it on the previous podcast, the Appalachian Trail. And she broke the record... That in 2011, this was before Meltzer.
Nikki.
Yeah.
It's in the show notes.
Yeah.
Can't remember her last name.
But
she broke the female record. Yeah. She didn't beat the male, but she was very, very, very close.
And then there was Finding Traction. Her.
Yeah, we're gonna put a bunch of different documentaries that we've been finding on Netflix of pretty much showing all of these really powerful competitive women who have been in the top pack, if not winning, like the Transamerican bike.
Not the Ram, but the Transamerican.
The Transamerican Trail bike race. She was in the top 5, and
the Italian woman.
Yeah. But yeah, she's Italian. I will put all this information in the show notes.
All their names will be definitely listed. We're just blanking on the names right now. And then also, the article...
And the Finding Traction movie about Nikki, can't remember her last name, also be in the show notes.
As well as the Appalachian Trail woman who set the record.
No, that's
No, that's the Vermont Trail. I'm talking the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, I can't remember.
The thru-hike.
Yeah.
I mentioned her in the previous... But it's not her.
Anyway,
it was...
Yeah, you get the point.
Yes. Did they mention anything about the psychology? Because there's been a lot of theories of women, because of childbearing, their psychology, they can put up with more. Did they mention anything there? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if there's any studies to prove it, but anecdotally, it makes sense that women can put up with more shit. So they just suffer longer. I don't know if
divas like men.
Well, I don't know if that holds out, if there's any literature on that at all. It would be interesting to see if there is. And if anyone knows of any, please let us know. But, like, that's kind of what's always been said, is, like, women just put up with more, and so they can handle it. But
the ice test, where they put the hand in the ice water, I wonder, I'm sure there's been
I don't know if you can extrapolate that to an
ultra runner.
3-day event.
Unless you stick your hand in ice for 24 hours, or 24 hours plus.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, I think, and this is going to be, we're going to talk about this later in a future podcast, the difference when we open up and get into the science of different chromosomal and also self-identifying athletes and transgender athletes. It should be interesting to see how that plays into the ultra world, because right now it's only really affecting sprinters. Right. I've only really seen the controversy in sprinters, almost up to the marathon. But when you get past, I haven't really seen it in triathlon. I haven't really, except for in one case of a transgendered male on the American Olympic team. And that's the only time I've seen it in triathlon, as far as I know. I haven't seen it in the ultra world yet.
No, but this is the thing. I think that with gender issues and gender identity, the problems occur more with the classification than it does with the actual problem. Like, I don't see it as a problem. I see gender as a spectrum, and that people, regardless of their identity, their chromosomal sex will vary on a spectrum. So no one is exactly XY, X, but so is the problem not with the gender fluidity, but if with the classification in the competitive field?
Well, yes, and I think
the girl boy split is very black and white and very reductionist.
It comes down to what's quote unquote what's fair and what breaks and breaking out of what we. Breaking the boxes of what we like to think. The nice, tidy boxes of what we like to think. We like the classification, especially in sports. We like classification so that we can be fair.
But biology is messier.
Biology is messier. And so I think moving, the next 10 years, we'll definitely have to do an honest evaluation of ourselves and trying to figure out what is quote unquote fair in sports.
It's very comparative.
It's very competitive. So
competitive and comparative.
Both.
That if it's not against your same classification, it doesn't count, or it's not as good.
Or it's not, quote unquote, fair.
Yeah, so I think we really need to examine that part of it more than we do about gender issues, because the issue part is how other people are perceiving you, not how you are. Anyway, we're veering off.
Yes, that brings us up on time, but overall, I think we can see that in endurance sports, women are definitely have...
The advantage.
Well, you could say the advantage. We'll see.
Yes.
It should be interesting to track as both male and female fields become more competitive in the ultra community.
Yeah, it's a burgeoning.
It will be interesting to track times.
Yeah.
And see whether distance and time and endurance is the great equalizer between the two.
Or not.
We
Could
shall
be
see.
the other side of the spectrum.
Anyway, after the quick break, we will be back with Buy It or Bonk. And we're back with part 2 of the Racing Mindcast, Buy It or Bonk. And for those of you who are just joining our show or just tuning in, this is where we take sports nutrition products, not just bars. We've only done bars so far, but we are going to branch out.
We've done chips.
And we're done chips. We're going to branch out. We're going to do chips. We're going to do cereals. But bars...
It'll be great.
It's going to be great. And if you have any recommendations, make sure you put them in the comments below or email us for our audio people. Make sure you email us with suggestions of what you want us to try. And today, we, I think, have our most expensive review yet.
Yeah, geez.
These are Julian Bakery.
I can never tell.
Julian's or Julian Bakery? The Julian Bakery. And these are, so we've got 3 of their Primal collection.
No. We have 3 different ones.
3 different ones, but it's all in that paleo-esque realm.
Paleo,
Crossfitters.
Kind of low carb.
Low carb.
Low carb to the next level. So this
orthorexic bar line.
Oh, great! I didn't know we were going there. So this is, I think, their newest line or sub lineup called Primal Thin.
So it looks like an eraser. It looks like a brown eraser or a mochi. It actually has the same taste.
And that's how hard it is. I'm really excited.
And this is peanut butter? It smells like peanut butter.
It's called sweet cream.
Okay, I don't get any sense.
But I think it smells like peanut butter because it has sunflower butter in it. And monk fruit. And it claims to only have 4 ingredients, which is very special. It's $4.95 Canadian. And so that's what?
It's like low 4s.
Yeah.
American.
$3 to $4. So that's on the expensive side. So, nutritional information. 130 calories for the bar, 54-gram bar. 5 grams of fat. 19 carb. 18 fiber. And 1 sugar. And 20 grams of protein. So it's pretty much all fiber. And
no wonder the Neanderthal became extinct, because if they were eating these, I would go extinct too.
You burn a lot of calories.
And it's egg white protein?
That is a good point. It is grass-fed whey.
Okay.
And then probiotic fiber stuff.
Yep.
Sunflower butter and lohan guo, which is the monk fruit. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So will you take your taste and chew, because it's going to take you a while. For those, this is what the wrapper looks like. This is the reason why diets never work.
The taste is good though, but the chew is a bit excessive.
Taste is good. I do get the vanilla cream. That's the only thing it has going for it.
And it tastes a lot like sunflower butter.
It's got a very taffy flavor. It's like stuck in my teeth taffy.
Yeah, it's like a Laffy Taffy.
But it is low sodium. It's 30 milligrams compared to like 190 from what it is. So I'm gonna give it 2 points for the. I'm gonna give it 3 points for the macros. 2 points for the taste.
So 5.
I'm gonna give it a total of 5.
I'm gonna give it 6. I like the flavor of it. I can deal with the texture.
Would you pay $5 a bar though?
Even though I have.
All right. So 6 and 5 for the sweet cream Primal thing.
Bring the price down, it goes up to a 7.5.
Bring the price down, it might go up to a 6.5 to 7 for me.
Okay. It's not, like, on its own, not bad. Then.
I would still take a... I would still go with the Daryl's. D's Naturals.
Okay. All right, next up, we have... This is their Paleo line. So not Primal Thin, but Paleo. And the flavor is sunflower butter. So I think they all actually have sunflower butter in, but this one
smells about the same. Still hard tech.
Yeah. And this is egg white protein.
And I'll just show it to you for all those watching on YouTube. It looks like an eraser.
It looks exactly the same. But it is 150 calories for the bar, 3 grams of fat, 28 grams of carbs, 23 grams of fiber, 1 sugar, and 20 protein. You should not have eaten that much. Because you can't talk, can you?
I'm getting a jaw workout here.
Yeah.
You burn the calories in the bar just by chewing it.
Okay, I feel nervous now. Ugh.
It's a chewing workout.
Whoa.
So, I definitely would not recommend eating these on a bike ride.
Or during a podcast.
Or during a run. Or during a podcast. I'm going to have to save that till later.
Yeah. I'm kind of keeping my half.
2 points for the macros.
The taste is
1
good.
point for the... I'm going to give it 1 point
like
for the taste because it's very bland. It's nothing out of the ordinary. 1 point for the taste.
Still chewing it.
Texture, it's going to be negative. I'm going to have to keep it at 3 here.
I'm going to go 5.
It gets stuck in your teeth.
Because uniquely, like, there aren't many protein bars that are sunflower butter flavored, and that's kind of nice.
If you're on the paleo diet, you shouldn't be having bars, though.
That's true. But we're not on the paleo diet, so that's fine. But it is also $4.95. So, just so you know.
Please send donations so we can keep these reviews
Patreon coming soon. All right, and last but maybe not least, this is their Pegan line, so the paleo vegan line.
Christ, is America coming to?
Actually, I think you might be in luck because these felt softer when I was cutting them.
Yeah.
So, $4.95, and this is the vanilla cinnamon twist flavor.
You can definitely smell the cinnamon.
And
it smells like a candle.
Also 150 calories for the bar. It's 65-gram bar, so it's bigger. 6 grams of fat, 26 grams of carbs, 23 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of protein. It's interesting that they're bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you actually, at $5 a pop, that counts.
And it comes from pumpkin seed protein.
Pumpkin seed protein?
Mm-hmm. Pumpkin seed protein and some...
That's pretty unique. Mm-hmm. And does it have sunflower butter in it as well? So they all have sunflower butter in them. Whoa, way softer. It reminds me of a D's Naturals.
Mm-hmm. Much softer. Taste is there. They nailed the cinnamon twist.
No plant-based proteiny-ness.
It's borderline. It's better than what it used to be. It's borderline candlestick.
That's a different flavor.
That's the gingerbread.
That's the gingerbread and the cinnamon.
It's pushing on that.
It's close.
It's improved.
It's close to a Yankee Candle, but just below it.
But, so for this, macros is good.
Texture's way better.
Texture's better.
Softer than a Quest bar.
I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, if it dropped down to the price of a Quest bar, it would be a 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
If this was the same price as a Quest bar or a D's Naturals bar,
yeah, the macros
this would be
are
my
great.
go-to bar.
Like, the nutritional information is great, but they're $5.
So if you have $5 to spend, and you had to choose between the three, definitely this one.
$5 on 150 calories.
I would go this one, then that one. So this one, and then the Primal Thin, and then the Paleo. And I need to go do a CrossFit workout.
Do you now?
Yep.
Alrighty.
All right. Well, that concludes buy it or bonk. Once again, leave your suggestions in the comments below. We will get to them. If you have any special requests that we can't get here in Canada, we will try our best to have them ordered to us in America and then pick them up in America. But we will leave that open. Anyway, when we come back from the break, we will get into the year of fear, and I think a challenge for me would be eat like a box of these. Oh, that would be a challenge.
That would be fearful.
If we get to 10,000 subscribers, it's on. Mark my words.
And I'll be watching.
All right. We will just take a quick break. And we are back with part 3 of the Racing Mindcast, the year of fear, in which we tackle one of our fears for each for a week
for
52 weeks. So, what are you up to this coming week?
I still have protein bar in my teeth. I'm going to start up a store webpage, like Etsy or something. I have to decide which platform I'm going to use to try selling some of the photography that I've been doing. I've done kind of amateurish photography for years, and I've never
really good flower shots.
And I've never bothered seeing if anyone would be interested in buying them. So I'm going to actually put myself out there and put them up for sale and see if anyone is interested.
So, help us pay for Julian Bakery products. Buy photos.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be a lot of photos.
But why is that a fear for you?
That's fear, just putting myself out there and having my work rejected. Because it never occurred to me that it would be worth buying, and I've had people say, "Why don't you sell it?" And so I just thought, well, why not? Just give it a shot. The worst thing that happens is nobody buys it. And I guess that's a fear. I guess I'm afraid of rejection. Mm-hmm. So, and you?
I am going to eat a real donut. And when I say real donut, I'm not talking about a single little Timbo or donut hole.
Timbit, dear.
Timbit.
Your American is showing.
I'm talking about a real donut. So whether it be an apple fritter or an eclair or something, it has to be full calorie, no diet.
So something with a hole, donut. Not the hole itself.
Yes. Or I guess an apple fritter I would count as well, or an eclair.
All right.
But something from Tim Hortons that's not a diet product. I don't think you even
supporting
can
the locals.
So that is going to be my fear, and I've never really had. I've always been afraid of donuts.
Right.
You know, I love them and I love the taste of them, but I've always been afraid of them. That's why you're afraid of them. Yeah. Whenever I had a donut in the past, I would spit it out after eating it. Mm-hmm. Just because I've been so afraid of the caloric gain and the weight gain from it. So this will be I think it's less about eating the donut, I think, for me, and more about dealing with the anxiety surrounding it. Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of prep leading into it, and then a lot of prep keeping it. Yeah. Whether I want to do a workout before it or not remains to be seen. I think I'm not at the stage yet to be able to eat it without anxiety, without having to do a workout before. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take a baby step. I might have to do it twice in a week.
Like me with the froyo.
Mm-hmm. I might do it twice in a week. Once where I eat it before, eat it after a hard workout, and then later on in the week eat it after
just
nothing. Just because, and then not exercising afterwards. Yeah. So I think that's going to be my project for the week. It's going to be a Tim Hortons week. Support the local economy.
I'm here to support you.
So if you have any suggestions, though, for photographs that you want Morgan to take or donuts that I should eat, leave them in the comments below.
Send these photos.
However,
just to be clear,
if you go to braveheartcanada.com and look at my fear list, it's part of it's posing nude for an art class. So we might kill two birds with one stone here. Get my nude photos up online. However, that's neither here nor there. That will be. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to share though.
Yeah. Put a pretty high price tag on it. You might get some bidders.
You might change my mind.
Yeah.
Depends on how starving we get.
Anyway. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you go to iTunes. Leave a 5-star ranking. If it's not 5-star, please contact us so that we can make it 5-star. Yeah. We're really working on improving this for both our viewers and for our listeners. Once again, thank you very much. As always, go to braveheartcanada.com, check out our selections there, check out our previous posts there, plethora of information. And I think that wraps up the show. And we just wanted to remind you.
Don't forget to breathe.